You guys ever heard of a traumatic experience? Yeah, me too. I just had one. Powder coating this here frame. Can't believe it's done. Can't believe it's coated. Ran the risk of burning the garage down. Panicked. Went chaotic. So this is a post intro. I'm going to roll the original intro where I'm telling you so confidently how I'm going to teach you how to powder coat at home without a large oven, how to make a large oven to powder coat. Yeah, that didn't work. So if you're here to learn one thing, it's what not to do. There's no valuable knowledge in this video. I want you to know that, except what not to do, and probably how to prevent house and forest fires. So the time has finally come to strip and powder coat this frame on this YZ. I have a couple issues. One, it's covered in powder coat, which is an absolute hassle to get off. And two, it's way too big to fit in my traditional oven. Now, if you can go and get this coated, but that's pricey, and I want to try to do everything myself on this build. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to show you how to strip this coating easily and cheaply. And I'm also going to show you how to build an at-home DIY powder coating oven that will cure up the powder when this is all sprayed. So let's go ahead and show you how to do that. I hope it goes easy. I hope it goes smooth. So step one is we're going to go ahead and get all this dirt and grease off this frame. When you guys are doing this, you want to make sure you try to get your parts as absolutely clean as possible before you start applying your solvents that'll take off this powder coat. So let's go ahead, get this cleaned up. I'm not going to do it outside with a power washer because it's currently about -5 degrees out. So elbow grease, Scotch-Brite and Mean Green. Let's go ahead and get this thing scrubbed down squeaky clean. So we got that frame cleaned up. We got most all of the dirt and grease off. And what we're going to be using is this Clean Strip Aircraft paint remover. This stuff is pretty pricey. It's about $27 for this. So expect to spend that. It's a very strong stuff. You want to be in a ventilated area when you use it, but it does work. Now, if you look at the directions, it does say to sand the surface before applying it. And I'm assuming that's because of the etching in the surface. This stuff will bite in better. So you don't got to sand it bare, you just got to sand it down a little bit. I'm going to be using a 600 grit sandpaper. You should go a little bit less than this. You probably want to be sanding with about a 280. 600 is all I got around the shop right now, so let's go ahead and sand this down. I'm going to try to speed up the process with one of these real abrasive paint removing wheels. I don't feel like sitting here and sanding all day, so let's go ahead and try this. All right, so now that we got this sanded off, I'm just gonna kind of wipe the dust off of it. You don't gotta be perfectly clean here, but just kind of get some of that dust off. So I just hung this frame off a little 2-hole conduit clamp, just so it's easier to work with. I can get all the spots. So make sure you shake up your aircraft remover real well before pouring it into your cup. So you can see the stuff coming out. It's pretty thick, and I'm not going to go too much, right about there. I don't want to waste any since the stuff is so expensive. Okay, so from this point on, make sure you have adequate ventilation. The aircraft remover is super strong, so you don't want to be breathing that stuff in. You'll probably end up on the floor. And another thing is, make sure you have some kind of gloves on. That stuff is really bad for your hands if it touches your hands. So let's go ahead and start laying this stuff on. So I'm just using a standard paintbrush to lay this stuff on. When you're applying it, you want to make sure you apply it pretty thick. So you don't want to go super thin like that. You want it to actually be really, really thick. So I got to get 2 hands to lay this on properly. If you guys ever done plumbing, and you know that purple primer you put on PVC, that's exactly what this stuff smells like. It's real potent. So in the next scene is the beginning of when things start to get crazy in this episode. It just kind of snowballed into getting worse and worse and worse. So I've got some unfortunate news. When I was in the middle of this yesterday, I actually got a phone call and I had to run over to my buddy's house. He had a pipe burst in his house and I had to go address that. He's away from home right now, so had to rush, drop what I was doing on this. I actually let that aircraft paint stripper just sit on here because I just dropped what I was doing and ran over there to give them a hand. But I actually think with it sitting, it didn't do as good of a job as we wanted to, because you're supposed to wait about 45 minutes without plastic on there. And after that 45 minutes, the paint will kind of bubble up like this, and you can take a scraper and you can get it cleaned off. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try hitting this with some 60 grit sandpaper that I got, kind of get most of the stuff off that comes off easy, and then we're gonna go ahead and probably end up redoing this with the aircraft stripper again. I'm not going to blame this on a product because I think this is my fault leaving it like this. So I'm not going to judge the product off this test, but we'll see what happens after our next test. So as you guys can see, I stopped talking about what I'm doing. I stopped explaining. I've been trying multiple ways to get this powder coat off and it's not coming off. So at this point in my mind, I decided to scrap the video idea and start fresh. So I'm gonna go ahead and play the other intro I did for this video for comedic value for you guys, because it just kind of shows you how all over the place I was for this video. Once again, we're not learning anything in this video. This is purely for your guys' enjoyment. I contemplated not even uploading this video, but here it is. I know it's chaotic and I'm sorry if you don't like it, but it's all over the place. Today we are going to be prepping and blasting the frame for the YZ. Now I did try to do some other things like aircraft paint stripper and sanding, and I had an issue with that where I had to stop midway through. So that's why we're kind of sanded down already. What we're going to be doing today is we're going to be sandblasting this frame down and getting a beautiful coat of powder on it. So let's go ahead and get started. The sandblast media I will be using today is a Black Diamond coal slag. It was pretty cheap. It was about $13, so I hope it works out really well. So I've got the blaster set up outside here because I don't have a way to contain this stuff. So that's why I bought the cheap stuff. Let's go ahead and try this. In my brilliant knowledge during this entire video, I thought it'd be a fantastic idea to blast this frame off outside. Once again, about -10 this day, because this is a day or two later. I think it was a day. But it made an absolute mess. I don't know how this stuff is, if like you could spray outside. So I don't do this for very long, but I did do it and I kind of felt bad about it. I will address this and fix this, which is one of the reasons this video gets chaotic out of nowhere, but yeah, this was stupid. I'm making a little sandblast collection box out of some 1/4 inch drywall because I'm wasting way too much sandblast material. And I had this piece of 1/4 inch laying around. So it's a very good use for it. I know you guys came here to watch me powder coat a frame. You probably didn't expect to see me building a box, but I thought maybe you guys like to see some of the behind the scenes backyard engineering I like to do. Here you go. I really didn't think in the middle of this video I'd start doing drywall, but I guess it's fun. We'll go with that. That screw's no good. Put it right back in the box so I grab it again. In case you guys are wondering, yes, this box is up to code. You already know. Well, the absolute beauty is done. Taped around all the edges, looking gorgeous. Now we can spray inside because it's about -5 degrees out, and we can save some of our blast material.
Well, I've got the frame hanging and all sandblasted now. And when I degreased it, you could see it started to oxidize on me really fast. So I've been scraping that off, working on it, trying to get it cleaned down. It's complete bare metal like this. And we are almost getting ready to build the oven and powder coat this thing. So I'm just busy scraping off all this oxidation, and we are going to get to it. I think what I should have done is wiped it down with acetone or maybe like alcohol or something, because when I usually would degrease other parts, I would use water, and obviously bare steel and water don't mix. So I think this was my fault, and I'm paying the price now, but you definitely, I think you want to use maybe acetone to wipe this down, and I don't think it'll oxidize quite as fast on you. So this is what we got. We've got a piece of insulated foam insulation board. It's got the foil on the back side. What we're going to do is build a little box, kind of like our sandblast box, and we're going to build that so we could set it right onto the frame. And from there, we're going to stick a heat gun in there, and that should work. I learned this method from the Red Bull Motorsports video on, they were doing a CR500 build, and he was saying this is the way he Cerakotes all his parts. It should get that warmed up to the temperature we need, about 400 degrees. So we're gonna go ahead and try it. I hope it works. Let's see what happens. So we're basically gonna cut 2 foot, 2 foot, 2 foot. That will give us an even out. We won't have a bottom, but the concrete's gonna be our bottom. Hopefully it doesn't cause too much of an insulation issue. All right, so here's the completed product. This will just sit over the frame, which is gonna be sitting over here. We're gonna go ahead and set this on, put our heat gun in there, and it should act like an oven. I got all the seams taped up, so this is pretty much it. You can see it's very simple. It's just taped together. This is what Garage 93 did on Red Bull Motorsports, so I'm gonna try to see if I could do what they did. Hopefully it works. So we're going to be coating this frame in this Aesthetic red. I hope it's not too much. So what I got, it looks really pink, but in the pictures it looked a little bit more like almost like a Honda red. So that's what we're going to be coating it with. Time to go and start coating. So for about the next 20 minutes, I'm messing with my powder coat gun because it's spraying out way too much powder. It must have been an issue with the regulator. I've had issues with this regulator before, many a times, and I just haven't replaced it yet. So I mess around with my regulator for about 20 minutes trying to figure that out. Finally, I get it set up right and I can start spraying powder. So it's time to set the oven over the frame, and I had a little design flaw here. I was about a ½ inch too short, so the box
wouldn't fit over the frame. It actually touched the frame and it was sitting on there crooked. So I had to pull it off, and I tried some modifications. I ended up opting for switching out the stand, the rear stand that it was on, which was stupid because I had touched the powder. I'm giving up at this point. It's going bad, but I end up switching out the rear stand so I can get the clearance I need. Now, now I'm eyeballing a glass cup because it was the only thing I had that I could find in my entire house and garage that was the right height. So, yep, this is a glass cup. I'm actually laughing because I forgot about this in the mayhem.
All right, it's been about 1 minute. Let's see where we're at. You can see we're climbing real fast, so it's working. We got to get up to 400 degrees. So I've got a feeling I'm going to be in here for a while. Well, we've been running for quite some time, and we've got about 240 degrees, which unfortunately is not nearly enough temperature to get this curing, so I don't know what to do. I don't see us hitting the 400 degrees in this box, not with the heat gun. I don't think this is possible. So I think this entire video is going to be a fail, and I might have just wasted a whole bunch of time. I've lost my mind completely now. I've completely lost my mind. It's cooking though. I am staying out here about 5 feet away from this, and the second I see smoke, I'm pulling it off. This, do not recommend, do not do. This is a man that is highly desperate, defeated, broken down, and losing his mind. I repeat, do not do this. So, the whole video is done. I'm still going to upload it. We're still going to do it, but I've lost my mind. It's cooking. I mean, we're at 370 right now, so that frame's getting up there. Oh, this is a lesson learned. If you don't have the right tools, I should have just sent this out to get powder coated. It probably would have cost about 250 bucks. But, you know, I really, really like to do everything myself, and I'm paying for it. And I don't, now I'm regretting it because I don't know how the powder coat on this frame's going to come out. But at least it's funny, I would think. I'm like probably this close to wiping out the whole garage with a massive fire, but I'm keeping a really good eye on it and making sure that nothing's gonna burn down. So yeah, there's a whole dirt bike frame in there. Do not. I mean, all said and done, it's not terrible. It's way better than I thought it would look. A little bit of orange peel, I don't think the powder was sprayed heavy enough there, or it's not properly cured all the way. Doesn't look too bad. So as chaotic as that video was, there's a couple things you could take away from it. One, that oven will work really well for Cerakote. If you had a larger item like this frame you're trying to Cerakote, the cure time for Cerakote is much lower, and that's actually what Garage 93 and Red Bull Motorsports used it for, not powder. 400 degrees is way too much for a heat gun. I don't really know what I was thinking, but anyway, I hope you guys liked the frame. I hope you guys liked the video. Thank you for watching, and maybe check out these other two videos on something previous on this bike if you were new here. So my garage is a mess. I got to clean up. Thank you guys for watching.